If you're a fan of classic tactics combat and RPGs like Fire Emblem, Telepath Tactics Liberated delivers that and much more. It combines the familiar feel and charm of retro turn-based gameplay with modern conveniences like animation speed options, destructible environments, and even a fully featured custom campaign creator. Throw in a character-driven story and maybe a dash of nostalgia, and you've got an indie hidden gem that fans of conventional mechanics shouldn't miss. Let's start with the foundation of the game, the combat. At its core, Telepath Tactics Liberated offers traditional turn-based battles where character abilities and positioning take center stage. Resource management in the vein of Fire Emblem is also a big part of the gameplay loop, with shops offering consumables, weapons, and armor periodically to help you on your adventure. I will say the menus and interface here are a little bit clunky and cumbersome, but you won't be using them too often. Planning ahead really is crucial. Weapons will break on most difficulties and you'll need to have backups ready. This adds another layer of strategy and makes your decisions outside of combat feel that much more meaningful. As far as movement and actions go, there is no modern AP or action point system here. Instead, characters have a set movement radius and a free base attack alongside optional abilities that consume energy if used. This is another throwback mechanic to classic turn-based games that simplifies decision making and keeps turns engaging. You always know what your characters can and can't do without having to do any calculations. It's refreshing sometimes, honestly. Beyond the mechanics of basic movement and resource management though, one of the standout features in Telepath Tactics Liberated is its use of the environment. The battlefield here isn't just a static grid that you move across, it's a dynamic piece of your strategy. Enemies can be pushed into water or lava or even each other as a last resort. Not only does this do damage, it basically skips the enemy's next turn as they'll have to move to stop from drowning or burning. But that's not all. Cryomancers can freeze water to create a bridge, or an existing bridge can be destroyed to drown the units crossing it and cut off reinforcements. There's even a dedicated engineer class just for building bridges and barricades. However, the catch here is that the enemies can also use the environment against you too. You can really tell this was taken into account during the map and level design, with the perfect example being the bridge battle you're seeing in the video right now. The environmental aspect is a great way to even the odds or take tough enemy units off the board, and combined with the variety of classes and abilities available, these mechanics make each encounter stand out as a sandbox for creativity and strategy. Speaking of variety, Telepath Tactics Liberated has a surprising amount of characters and classes to meet and recruit, from assassins and mages to golems and cavaliers riding massive praying mantises. More impressive about this is that while some abilities do overlap, most classes have distinct use cases, advantages, and skills to strategize around, making party composition and planning an important part of the battle strategy. Combat encounters typically allow you to deploy a large number of units, and you'll need them as you often face overwhelming odds. This encourages diverse party makeup and lets you mix and match to cover all of your bases. Focusing too much on the same characters can leave others underleveled though, so rotating your roster is key as well. Personally, I played on Soldier difficulty with competent AI, and I can say that it was a satisfying challenge that pushed my tactical thinking, but for those who want more, there are chests hidden throughout the game that are not easy to acquire. And for the most hardcore strategists, there's ruthless AI, permadeath, and Iron Man available as well. But what about the RPG and story elements of Telepath Tactics Liberated? The world here is mostly low fantasy in an original setting and focuses on the tale of two sisters fighting back against slavers while looking for their father. What seems fairly straightforward on the surface uncovers deeper connections and storylines underneath as you progress through the game. It does start off a little vague and didn't grab me right away as it lays down the backstory and world, but the further I got into it, the more everything did start to come together. The good news is if you don't like the story or you enjoy the combat and want different characters, there are features for that I'll get to next, as well as an option for dialogue speed or just clicking through everything. The general gameplay loop will have you go from encounter to encounter with some dialogue breaking things up in between and the occasional shop. The main cast of characters have their own backgrounds, personalities, and motivations, some more interesting or off-putting than others obviously, and there's even some NPCs you can seek out to talk to or recruit in certain situations and battles. Telepath Tactics has no voice acting however, so I can see how some people might find the conversations tedious or just not want to read. I will say I was surprised at the variety and layout of the missions and battlefields you go through, with maps that are handcrafted, unique scenarios following the storyline and not feeling like you're doing the same thing over and over. Leveling up happens fairly often as well, so there's a steady stream of new abilities to put to use. Some optional side things and exploration later on in the game helps to break up that main loop and also adds in some fresh enemies and encounters. So while the story overall might not be the strongest pull for players, it does enough to tie together the combat and keep you pushing forward. Now for the creatives out there, those who don't care much for the cast, or players that love to add their own touch, there's a couple of options. A randomizer mode is available for the main campaign that replaces the entire cast with procedurally generated characters. However, it needs to be unlocked first. This can add some replayability, but the big feature here is the full custom campaign creator that's included with Telepath Tactics Liberated. This is a crazy addition as it basically contains all of the assets the developer used to create this game. Customized maps, scenarios, cutscenes, and characters, all the way down to their camp activities or dialogues, can be created. Brand new skills, stats, and abilities for combat make it so the sky is the limit here if you're willing to jump in. In addition, there's a handful of player-made defense scenarios and campaigns on the Steam Workshop, as well as a moddable version of the story campaign. This creator is something I can see certain players getting a lot of time and value out of, topping off a solid tactical RPG with nostalgic vibes and great combat. For more turn-based tactics indie games to check out, head to my channel or click through to the video on screen now.